Monday, July 14th, 2025. Please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to our July meeting. And by the calendar, we are 30 days from the first day of school. So just, hey, heads up to everyone out there. It's coming quickly. Just a few opening comments as we start this evening. This is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is time for public participation for agenda and non-agenda items, number 2, and then we will also be having a public hearing this evening tonight where there will be opportunity for public comment during that time as well. The mission of Goshen Community Schools is to inspire innovation and to empower potential and enrich our world. And Goshen Community Schools, Elkhart County School District of choice. So approval of tonight's agenda. Do we have any changes to our agenda?
None at this time.
All right, with that, the agenda is approved as presented. And board members, approval of our minutes from June 9th, 2025. Do we have any adjustments to those minutes? Seeing everyone looking down, they are approved as presented. So with that, we will start with item 2, which is our public comment. We will start with Mr. Glenn Knoll, sir. Is that microphone on?
Oh, no, it's not.
Thank you, Glenn, for doing that.
All right. Glenn Knoll, Goshen. No sugar this time around, so don't get used to it all the time. I'm going to give you a little history lesson, though. 30 years ago, I, as somebody sitting in the audience, had everything that a board member had except for personnel issue, paperwork. And back then, when we were hiring teachers or superintendents or whatever, I knew what their grade point average was, where they went to school, their social security number. I'm glad some things changed, okay? That's a lot of responsibility as basically a volunteer to maintain. But I did have all the information that was available. Back then, you could actually question after each one or before the vote was taken of any item on there, which was, made for long meetings, but the citizens knew they could ask the questions, and it was done in public. It is important. I'd like to go back to that. A good example was at the last meeting when I actually lashed out at the idea of shutting doors, keeping public out. And it turned out for a very valid reason, which could have been handled a lot differently, but wasn't. I have noticed that being next to West Goshen, the internet is not on during the day for the public. Usually it is, especially on weekends. School isn't in session now. And there I do see people actually sitting by the school and using it. So I don't know if that's something that's something that came around during COVID because, it was necessary. You already killing my time, Keith?
Minute by minute. That's good. You still got one to go.
Okay. And I want to talk about government in general. And you are government. We elect you. As they say, we can put you in or we can take you out. Here lately, government has been less than truthful, honest, and respectful to the taxpayers. Not to mention the voters, but the taxpayers. Doesn't matter if it's federal, state, local, as in county or city. School board, same way. Some of you are going to get tired of always hearing it, It's time for some of you to get off. You're being disrespectful to the voters and the taxpayers of this community. So it comes down to back 30 years ago, if there was a referendum or something, you didn't own property, you didn't vote. So it was important to be a property owner. I'm just saying, maybe you can turn things around starting at the local level. I hear him, that you can turn things around where people might start trusting. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that will conclude the public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. Like I said, we'll have another opportunity during our public hearing. So we'll go on to item 3, which is superintendent's reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. Start out with our financial commitments and ask Dr. Evans to give the board a couple updates.
What you have before you, I left one upstairs.
He borrowed his.
What you see is the major funds, education fund, you'll see that the majority of the funds, 80% of them are, money is spent on those funds towards employees. We're getting more revenue than we budgeted for slightly, 50.3%, should have been 50%. And we've spent slightly less out of education fund, 49.76, rather than 50%. So both of those are trending in the right direction for the education fund. For the operating referendum, you'll see that 97, 98% of the money spent in the operating referendum are for employee expenses. That's what we wanted it to be. You'll see that we're getting more revenue. Thank you. You'll see that we're getting more revenue than we are expending, so that's also a good trend. It's helping us out. We know the end of the operating referendum is at the end of next year, so that would enable us to continue with those salaries for a little while longer after the referendum, just from the cash balance that's in that fund. The next fund would be debt service. It's right about where we would thought it would have been. We just paid all of the bills in June, and we'll pay the remaining bills in December, and we should be fully expended by the time we get there for our budget of $12 million. And then the last one will be the operations fund. We're slightly ahead on revenue, and we're slightly less than what we expected on spending, so we're getting more than we're spending, and we're trending in the right direction on there. So I guess in a nutshell, as a fund report, everything's flowing just fine right now.
Any questions for Bob on the board?
So the general question, and this is somewhat relates to this and also relates to how you're going to maybe look to do next year's budget. Do we have a confidence level with where we think our funding levels are going to be going into next year with the recent passage of new state legislation?
Yes. Long story short is that Senate Bill 1 is going to impact every government entity in schools and townships across Indiana, some more than others. It's progressive, so that by the time we get to 2031, it'll have the most impact. So I don't foresee there being much of an issue in 26, probably not in 27 either. In 28, it will start to be challenging to be able to make. There'll be more of a cuts in our operations because more and more people will be paying less and less taxes. So that means that the schools and the cities and libraries will be getting less money. So I have that mapped out. Start getting out past 3 years, and you wonder if things are going to change by then. But I think we'll be fine over the next couple of years, and then we need to start planning now for contingencies as we get past that.
And then I guess a follow-up or an adder is funds we are to receive from the federal government that may or may not have been received. Do we know anything about how that will that impact this remaining fiscal year, or?
Yes, an example of that would be our Title I funding, I believe, and
Tracy, you might know the exact number, but I believe it'll be a couple $100,000 less than what we have this year. So instead of 1.2, it'll be closer to $1 million. Title I funding pays for our Title I, majority of our Title I instructors, and so we'll have to make adjustments, I'm assuming, as the year goes on. We have the capability of reacting to things in a slower manner because we have built up some cash balance. So it'll be a matter of how much do we need to adjust 30 days before school starts, or we're looking at next school year where we need to make the adjustments and possibly have some other funds to pay for these instructors until we make those adjustments. That's kind of where we are with federal funds.
Title II, III, and IV, which is our professional development, migrant and Yale learners, and then the social emotional, I forget what Title IV actually is called, Tracy.
It's mostly the professional development,
Okay.
coaching. It's the funds we've used for coaching and professional development.
Those
in the past.
funds have been totally frozen, so we don't know or anticipate when they're going to be coming back. That's really a fairly small amount when it, compared to Title I. Title I really would have hurt us. Title II through IV stings, but we can make it through as we readjust some things.
And you'll hear some more tonight about our general obligation bond strategy, what we're doing now, implications, our operations fund, our general obligation bond strategy that we've used, short-term borrowing has kind of helped out our operations fund. Our operations fund is the fund that's most under duress in my mind, that we have the hardest time making ends meet. That's our transportation and custodial staff, supports to the school district. And so as that fund struggles, maybe by 2030, something like that, we'll have to make some difficult decisions. But I think right now it's going to be, our strategy will be, we have cash balances to give us a little, we're not going to not deal with it, with the cuts we're going to have to do, but we have some ability to take a measured approach in how we make our cuts. Plus, we've made significant cuts over the last couple of years that have helped position us to where we are right now. So keep an eye on what happens to assessed valuation, and then our net AV will probably start being crimped, and which means our tax rate that we have had that's been staying flat is going to be under duress a little bit over time. And but that probably won't hit till 28 or something like that. Carl's over here. The expert's right there. So, okay. Any other questions, board? Comments from the team? Did we miss anything? Okay. Shall I go into the next one, Mr. President?
Thank you.
Okay, so next up, some good news. Student achievement, we're going to share some of our student achievement data. We think there's a state board meeting coming up. So next board meeting, we think we'll be able to have unembargoed data we can share with you that can go out to the public. That looks very positive, so that's exciting. But also, I want to, we have a couple things going on, and I also want to invite someone to come take a picture with us too. First off, we received Redevelopment Commission $98,000 for our CTE programming. So that $98,000 is going to go to help support entrepreneurship and some of our engineering stuff and some other things. Kathy, I know you and John did a presentation, so that was wonderful. So we did get the money, so that's exciting. So Redevelopment Commission, special thanks. Next, we also received the SOI IPP lab grant, Structures of the Intellect Integrated Practice Protocol. We got a grant for $187,000 from the Community Foundation, which is fantastic. That will support preschool and our school-age students that are coming to school not ready. The whole target there is to get as many of our students that are not ready for kindergarten. When they get here, we want to catch them up as fast as possible and help them attend, focus, concentrate, and be ready for learning. So that's exciting. And then the next thing I want to do is invite one of our partners for our entrepreneurship program, Startup Moxie, and Chris Weimer's here. So if you would stand up, and I don't know if you want to say anything to the board just in regards to our partnership. So the partnership is, you'll have later in the agenda to approve a $20,000 agreement where Startup Moxie will be partnering, be Goshen, Startup Moxie of Goshen High School, and we're real excited about that. Chris, you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. I took over as the director for Startup Moxie Elkhart County 3 years ago with the hope of being able to spread this program larger than just the small group of students who are able to have the transportation to get to where I'm holding class each day. And from the moment I took over, Jim and I had started talking about, how could we potentially make this work? And, Jim had the excitement and the drive to say, let's figure out a way to provide this opportunity to more students in Goshen community schools that maybe don't have the opportunity to drive themselves all over the county, but have that creative entrepreneurial spirit and want to do big things. And I am just really excited to be able to partner together and work together. I've worked with Kathy and some of the teachers here in the building already over the past few years and really enjoy the partnership we have. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what we could do and, set the idea for some of the other corporations in the area to maybe follow suit and be able to provide this opportunity for their students.
It's a first-rate program, and you do a great job with our kids. I know we've had, maybe more than half some years of
Yeah,
the
there
kids
have
in
been
your program,
times.
and Goshen kids have done very well, and we think this is going to be a big hit. I think we have 25 students that are signed up between that and our engineering program. I think there's total 25 students, so real excited.
Yeah, so I'm
It's gonna
vested in making sure it works well, so you'll probably see me around.
And our kids will get, if I'm not mistaken, 18 credit hours at Ivy Tech,
Correct.
and that will be equivalent to
They'll get a certificate of
CT,
entrepreneurship.
which is a certificate from Ivy Tech.
Yeah,
And it's pretty awesome that they can get that in our high school, so,
in 1 year.
in 1 year. Any questions for Chris or I in regards to that relationship? Okay, it's going to be a great partnership, looking forward to it, but I want Brad to come up and, we want
I'm going
to
to do that right now.
do a press release. Yes. And if it's okay, I'll launch into our operational excellence commitments. And I think first up there, Bob, you have something to tell the board about.
Yes, you
projects.
might remember a couple months ago when I mentioned a bond for this year, we had included the Goshen Junior High School track. And in light of that, we started to get some estimates on how much that would be. We went through 2 different companies, and they all said that they wouldn't be able to do it till next spring anyway, so that would be a good bond project. But afterwards, working with PSI, and we were able to find a contractor who was able to do that this summer. Actually, they're waiting on me to call them to tell them that they can get started. The thought process was that they could get it done and possibly get it coated with less coatings, which has to wait 30 days after its asphalt is laid for it to settle, and then the coating has to be warm enough outside. So it's a very small window that it might get done in September, but it might also get done in May. So we're just later on today we'll be asking for your permission to go ahead and allow this company to build the track this fall, starting in a week or 2. So that will be totally up to you. We do have some funds available through Operations Fund that weren't used for transportation, and so we could just switch those funds to the track.
Thanks, Bob. Any questions for Bob?
I think the write-up, I know we're going to get to it, it said it's actually cheaper than what the other ones were?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So there's multiple benefits of doing it then?
Multiple benefits. Yes.
And they are using Leslie coatings on it too, which is kind of the standard coat.
Yeah, so it won't be Leslie coatings that will be doing it, it'll be another, when we get to it, and after we have authority to do that, then we'll start working on the timeline for the coatings, based upon when these guys are projecting they'll finish. But Leslie Coatings wouldn't be able to get to it until May. There's another vendor that may be able to get to it sooner, possibly September. So we'll have to wait till, see what this vendor says with the asphalt when we get the coatings figured out.
Thank you. And you all noticed Andrew Loniger over there are excellent, doing a great job, communications and public relations. Dr. Metcalf's going to talk a little strategy about what he and Andrew have been working on.
So I know and you all know that Goshen Community Schools is a great place to be. It's a great place for our kids, it's a great place for our employees. How do we go about spreading that message beyond just the people in this room and the people that work for us and have a direct connection with the school? Now that we do have a communications specialist who can help create and define our strategy for marketing ourselves, we are starting to look at how do we go about marketing ourselves. And I know 10 years ago we had a marketing firm and we were very unsure about what we got for our money in some ways. And so now that we have someone on staff who can kind of help spearhead that, we are going to start looking at how do we go about getting the great things that are happening in Goshen and sharing those with the public in general. And then working with, it might be that Andrew then works directly with vendors such as WNDU or something like that for the creation of maybe a short video and then some airtime throughout the course of the year as we think about our marketing strategy. I know Andrew has also started to create videos for us. Board members, if you come to the first day of school, you'll see our welcome back video that he created, which we previewed today and we're very impressed by. So I think it's time for us to really start thinking about how do we market ourselves, especially with, again, open enrollment. We've done some things with our transfer windows to allow at the high school level a greater opportunity for people to come, but it's just getting the message out about what we have to offer. And so we would like to start planning out how our marketing strategy might work as we direct it internally.
Any questions for Dr. Metcalf?
I think it's exciting. I'm glad to hear it.
A lot of good things to work on there, so thanks. Last people commitments, and we're going to start with Tracy, and then if you'd introduce a couple people.
I'm going to call your attention to one significant contract change on the personnel roster. Pending your approval tonight, we are recommending that Ms. Jennifer Yoder be moved from industrial tech teacher to assistant principal at the high school. Pending that approval, Jen has been a popular face around the high school, a popular face around here. She's received many accolades. One including final top 10 teacher of the year for the state of Indiana, plus has spearheaded bringing in many public entities to the high school as an industrial tech teacher. But our recommendation tonight is to have her approved to be the next assistant principal at the high school. So Jen, hopefully you will get approved tonight, but I will let you stand up and introduce yourself and your family tonight, and then if you have anything special you would like to say, we'd welcome those words tonight. So
I'm here with my husband Jerry, and then Cole, which I think everybody knows, since we walked in the room, and our youngest Clay. It's no secret, I love Goshen High School. I did my student teaching there 28 years ago and never left. So Goshen High School is all I know, it's what I love, and I'm excited to start this next part of my career.
Thanks, Jen.
hopefully you will have that approval here in a little bit. So The second thing is we are just about finished with recruiting season. As it sits now, as of today, we will be welcoming 27 new teachers to new teacher orientation. This is quite a bit lower than what we've seen in the past, which is a good thing. Means less turnover, means more people staying in the seats or maybe making internal moves but not external moves, which is always a good thing. We are almost fully staffed. You will see some postings out there, but they're postings that we may be able to fill even internally yet as we look at student numbers and look at some internal movements ourselves. So we're pretty excited to see some things kind of filling up and changes happening within, and just being very strategic in how we're placing teachers and what we're doing with the teachers we have, and keeping the teachers we have, keeping the expertise here in our district so that we can continue to grow within.
I think to put a plug, we have a very good compensation package for educators.
We do.
So
It's made a, with the work we've done with the GA and with the administrators and with you all, it's, yeah.
for any
It looks
prospective
really good.
teachers, come on in.
Yeah,
We can do
yeah,
very
it
well
looks
for you.
really well compared to other districts. It's a good selling point, too.
Yes.
Thank you. Tracy, anything else, Tracy?
I think that's it.
Okay. Lori, do you want to introduce Sonia and her team?
Sure. Fun, come on up. So you know we've been working a lot with our parent engagement efforts. And you can bring your team on up. I'll bring your team on. And Sonia has some experience in a recent district with, there is a certification or award recognition you can get from the state about being a parent-friendly school, family-friendly school, in that direction. Sandy's more of an expert than I am. And we're just excited that she went through that process because it's pretty rigorous and it does take time to do. And so we just appreciate the time that you took to do that. And I'll let you introduce your team and tell us a little bit more about that recognition. Okay.
So this is Michelle Welsh, she's our registrar secretary. Donna Shank, grade 1 teacher. Jen Drescher, grade 3. Erin Behan Murillo, our new counselor this school year. So, and you guys can chime in any time, but what we had to do for this specific recognition was we had to fill out surveys, and students had to do surveys, and parents had to do surveys, and then we were interviewed by the state of Indiana. So it was quite rigorous, and one thing I want to point out is out of a scale of 4, our score was a 3.72, which the state of Indiana said we had a lot of participation, and so that was exciting. So we were evaluated on communication and how well we communicate effectively, and we were evaluated on how we welcome our families into the building and how well we work with the community. So Purdue's doing great things, and I couldn't do it without great teachers, so they deserve all the recognition. So we're just really proud of what we're doing. Anything any of you would like to add? Working at Prairie. Great place to be. Good. Good. Well, we know that the more we engage our families and make them feel welcome, the better that our students do. Definitely. And just in life. So, yeah. It connects to our family engagement group.
Absolutely.
Did we all get a picture? I come up here, you want to walk?
Come on.
There you go. I always sit in the back because, you know, it kind of happens.
I feel short next to Brad.
Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for, we appreciate it very much.
Mr. President, that concludes our reports.
All right, well, thank you. So next, we will move on to reports from the committee, or the board members, that committees the board members sit on, excuse me. So board members, anything to highlight? this evening?
We haven't met as this sports committee meeting, but I do want to highlight the work of the baseball team, the high school baseball team. They went to semifinals. They played an awesome game in South Bend, 2 games. They represented Goshen very, very well, and it was great to see a lot of people from the community. The stadium on our side, anyway,
It was very full.
was very full, and it was great to see. And I hope to see the trophies.
Yeah. Next time, we're going to celebrate the great run. We also had I don't know if this is time to say it, but we had a state champion, or the state all-state team, first team all-state shortstop.
Braxton,
Diaz.
Klein.
Excuse me. I should know this.
It's okay.
Diaz was the pitcher.
Yes. So, yeah, great team effort, great competition. So,
Building trades, I believe, are meeting tomorrow evening. I say I believe because it hasn't 100% been firmed up, but I'm pretty sure we are. So we're still anticipating instructional leader Todd Line to be back in the fall. And just for the community, this will be our 50th house. No? Oh, okay.
Not quite.
Not quite. All right.
We're getting close.
We're getting close. And unfortunately, we did lose a past president a few weeks ago, several years back. But it was sad to hear that. But he served the Goshen High School Building Trades well. So,
18 years he was on.
yeah.
And then, so Jim said a little bit about redevelopment. So last Tuesday, the Redevelopment Commission did pass the funding for the 7th year, a grant to Goshen High School into our CTE program for $98,500. There was a little more discussion this year than in previous years about the approval, not because they didn't want to support it, but because they are beginning to feel the tightening of the belt from the state as well. So they have budgeted for it to continue, but I think as gracious as they have been over the last 7 years, we also need to be prepared that it may not be a never-ending gift that they're able to give us. So I think they can see the benefits of what their investment has done to our high school, and which is fantastic. They've allowed us to move forward with a lot of expansion that would have taken us maybe longer to do through our funding challenges. But it's very gracious of them to do that, and it's something that I want to make sure we as board members and we as the community realize that it is a partnership between our school system and our city. So.
The Community Foundation did meet on Tuesday, and probably the biggest item was that they approved grants of $40 per student from Model, West Goshen, and Chamberlain to go to Shedd Aquarium. So that was totaling $10,080.
All right. Perfect. So that concludes board committee reports. Now we will move on to item 5, which is in our consent agenda items. And so we will start with item 5.1, approval of accounts payable dated July 14th, 2025. Payrolls dated May 30th, 2025, June 13th, 2025, June 17th, 2025, June 18th, 2025, and June 27th, 2025. 5.2 is 2026 Technology Student Association Nationals Overnight Field Trip. 5.3, 2026 French Club Trip to France. 5.4, Obsolete Curricular Materials. 5.5, 2025-2026 Oaklawn Memorandum of Understanding. And 5.6, Personnel. Anything to highlight on the consent agenda items?
I do have one. You said, man, Tim Bachtel, Assistant Facility Director for 27 years, is retiring. And skill set we're that he has been fantastic. He's helped the district out dramatically over the years, saving us money right and left. So we'll miss him, so, and he's not here, so.
He is not, no. All right. So with that, and with the changes in positions, the consent agenda items are approved as presented. You now are officially an assistant principal.
Wow. There you go.
All right. Is that upstairs, that sound?
Drums.
That's the drums. Okay, I was wondering if it was feedback through the mic, so that's why I was asking, so, all right. All right, so next is item 6, which is our public hearing and the first preliminary determination hearing. So the next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a preliminary hearing on the proposed construction project. If you are interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have signed in. I will call people up if you haven't signed in, that's not a big deal, which should have included your name and your address. After a presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the project. At the hearing, we'll ask that each person please limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topic be limited to the proposed project under consideration. At this time, I would like to please ask Mr. Carl Cinder to please step up and share a little bit about this hearing, the purpose of this hearing.
All right, good evening, board members and members of the public. As we've been doing on quite frequent basis, at least annually, is a way to fund some of your capital needs is through either a general obligation bond or through a lease rental bond. And tonight we are proposing to issue $8.4 million of general obligation bonds to fund a variety of capital needs that you have throughout the school district. I don't know, Bob, do you have any you want to elaborate of individual projects?
Yes, I can do that whenever you like. I think I'm about to do that.
Okay, all right, we'll have Bob come up later. We're going to go through just a brief summary of slides here to show kind of the financing and overview of what we're proposing here. The first slide is an overview of our school's debt service payments. As you can see, on the very far bottom lists the various bond issues, starting with clear to the left is the 2013 refunding bonds. Those are in the light blue. And so our goal has been, as some of these bonds have been expiring, that we come back before you to authorize new bonds coming up to fund a lot of these improvements that are needed to your facilities and replacements such as roofs and boilers and all kinds of things that wear out over time. You'll see we have a big drop being proposed in 2026 as some of our bonds are being paid off. And so what we propose to do is fill in the gap so that, again, we keep our tax rate consistent, and we won't know exactly those amounts until later this year. If all goes well at these hearings, we'll sell bonds later this year after we know what the net assessed value is, and then we can kind of size the amount of the debt service levy, and we'll get into the specific terms here in just a moment. The next page shows our current tax rates. As you'll see, from 2022 through 2025, our total rate has been $1.5654, and coming down to 2026, if the operating referendum retires after 2026, you'll see a big drop even in 2027. So as the tax rates start going down, we have room to fill in for new debt service with these bonds. And so these are initial tax projections with the proposed 2025 GO bonds. And you'll see that, again, we're proposing to keep the tax rate the same for 2026. And then in 2027, as another group of bonds are retired and the operating referendum goes away, that you'll see a drop in the tax rate. And that'll allow for opportunities then next year to, again, issue some additional debt to cover some of these capital needs, especially as Bob has mentioned previously, that we're using some of the bonds here to cover some of the costs that your operations fund was covering. So by 2027, that would go down to $1.30, and then 2028, $1.16 if nothing else happens. So this next slide is the legal parameters, the financing parameters of the bonds. I want to just kind of go through these so we have this information on the public record. The par amount of the bonds will be $8,400,000. Estimated cost of issuance and underwriter's discount total approximately $200,000. So that leaves proceeds available for hard and soft project costs, $8.2 million. Estimated interest rates will range somewhere between 2% and 6%. More than likely, they'll be priced at a coupon, probably around a 5% coupon, but we will have premium that will actually lower the interest rate over the term. We have a maximum term of 8 years. We don't think it'll be 8 years, only probably 3 years, but that's the legal authorization we're seeking. Estimated interest costs will be just under $1 million over the 3 years, $988,000, and the total annual maximum payment, 6.5. Again, we don't think it's going to be that high, but we wanted to give ourselves flexibility so that we can, again, keep the tax rate where we have it targeted. The maximum tax rate would be at 32.5 cents. However, because of the declining debt service as bonds retire, there will be no impact to the tax rate as our goal. Additional information, schools' maximum annual payments as a percentage of your net assessed value is less than 1%, 0.94%, and then direct and overlapping debt as a percentage of your net assessed value is 6.05. So that's kind of where we're at in a nutshell for tonight. We're going to go through a hearing shortly, and then we'll have the same hearing at your August meeting to basically go through the same information again. And then following that hearing, it'll be up to the board if you want to consider the resolution to proceed with the financing. So I guess at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Evans if he wants to give an update on projects.
Go ahead, Dr. Evans.
Sure. The educational needs of the project, we'd like to reinvest in our schools. This bond would help cover Project 2, which would complete the HVAC, Goshen Junior High School, carpet at Goshen Junior High School, and some elementary schools, asphalt, again at Goshen Junior High School, and a model. And as far as roof repairs and other smaller projects, so the roof repairs would be predominantly at Goshen Junior High School. So this is really there's a lot of focus on Goshen Junior High with this endeavor. These projects would meet the educational needs of students because they would be facilitating effective and safe learning environments. It's estimated that this project will cost, as we were saying, $8.4 million and will be completed within 2 years. It's the intent that this project will not result in increasing our current tax rate.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Evans. Back to you, Carl.
Okay. I'll open it up if the board has any questions before we open it up to the public. Otherwise, I think we have gone through all the legal parameters that we need to for tonight's meeting.
So I guess the question I have, and with the recent passage of legislation, what is now the parameters with once it's been paid off with how additional future bonds can be proposed? Do we have to, is there a cooling off period? There's a lot of confusion, I think, within the law how this is now written.
The law was very comprehensive, Senate Bill 1,
Yeah.
And we're all trying to wrap our heads around this. As we understand it today, this will not impact our ability to issue bonds in the future. But I will say this, we did talk to Mr. Du Bois and Dr. Evans recently and Mr. Metcalf about it probably wouldn't hurt to have maybe another time, maybe not now or next month while you're going through your budget, but maybe in the fall, we come back and maybe talk a little bit further about impacts of Senate Bill 1 and how we can maybe tailor our strategy with these bonds to help cover some of the costs that we're foreseeing maybe cut out of your operations fund. And so I don't think that's maybe necessarily what we want to get into all the nuts and bolts tonight. But it is definitely something we're looking at, and we'll have to monitor, future legislation changes, how that will impact as we go down the road as well.
Some districts are not going to be able to do general obligation, but I think 30% of the districts cannot do that, if I understand correctly.
Right, but we still have the ability to do that.
Yeah, because I knew there was.
But we do.
Yeah.
We could always come back and
correct.
change that legislation, but we'll just have to wait and see. But as it stands now, we can still continue to do that.
So the thought for the board would, at some point, we have a either work session or executive session to learn about Senate Bill 1, just like what's it all about. There's some interesting things that, great things, save money for the taxpayer, but on the other side, it's going to impact our budgets. But I believe as long as we're conservative and doing what we're doing, we'll be in good shape. But it will lay itself out over time, and the impact will be not felt right away. 28, 29, 30, it'll become increasingly more impactful and more important for us to manage towards that. So this, if AV is going down, what we can actually get, and we manage typically to a tax rate, which is the 56 cents that you see up there. As the AV goes down, to get the same amount of levy to spend to take care of our facilities, our tax rate's going to go up, and then there's a cap on the tax rate. So that's just the long and short of it. It's more detailed and much better explained by Stiefel coming in and giving us kind of an overview. But Carl, I think you'd be part of that conversation with us.
And we'd be happy to do that.
Okay. And so in some ways, this bond, I feel like, is well-suited for where we're at, conservative. We're not going to get ourselves into trouble. But what we need to do is between now and maybe next spring, I would hope the board really has a really good understanding, and we'll see how it's playing out and see what's going on. Because, again, we're well-suited because of our cash balances and some great work done here by the team before me and since I've been here on managing the budget. And so we have some decent cash balances. We've been doing this general obligation bond that we're trying to take care of our facilities. I feel like the biggest concern is we will feel this kind of crunching and having to manage a little tighter, maybe not have as much money for a geo bond to do some work, but that's to be, we'll find out how it all goes. There's a lot of if-ands between now and 2030 or something like that before we really know. So.
With the bonds falling off, does that make it easier in respect to like keeping bonds at the same level, but even if the AV goes down, we're not trying to be up here? Because that drops off, does that help it?
Well, the AV will go down.
Right.
And then if and when and as the AV goes down, assuming it will go down,
Right.
Then our tax rate to get the same amount of levy to spend is going to have to go up. But as some of these drop off, we won't need to get the same amount of levy to support our buildings.
Right, that's what I meant. As it drops off, we'll be able to.
I don't know if you want to go back, but maybe.
Part of the problem will be is that they've also lowered the threshold for when you have to go ask the general public for a referendum. So that threshold now was 80 cents. It's now lowered to 70 cents if your debt service is above that. And so we may want to.
7% we have to do a referendum to get any money above 70 cents.
And so we may have to manage projects in the bond size with some of these new thresholds. So, but I think that we can have those conversations later, but it doesn't impact what we're doing here today.
Right. Other things from the board? Questions initially for Carl?
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Carl.
All right. So now with that, we will officially open our public hearing, and we will invite members for the public, if you would like to speak on it, we would just ask that you please give us your name, sir.
Like you don't know it. Glenn, no, do you need the address for it to be official or not? Okay, everybody knows where I live. Anyways, couple things. Can we put that back up, the last
Timing it.
slide, please?
3 minutes.
It talked about, the interest would be about $1 million for 3 years. It says there that this bond could run up to 8 years. That is the number we should be looking at for total interest, estimated interest, because don't undersell it. That's the thing. If it's just simple math that it's going to be at least $2 million if we run out past, if we get close to 8 years. The other thing is the maximum annual payment of $6.5 million out of an 8. We'll call it a 9. Good generous $10 million. That's pretty steep. Don't understand that one. So some of the stuff that's being done at the junior high, which used to be the middle school, 27 years ago, all that stuff was rebuilt. I was on the board when that happened. Yes, that hurt. It cost, it was a big expenditure, but we had to update it because obviously previous administrations had neglected it. What I don't understand is we're losing money. When your paycheck is cut, you don't run out and buy things with your credit card and try to figure it out how to do it later. I understand this stuff. Don't write me off as somebody that doesn't understand it. 4 years of under Blad, 2.5 years under Blad, definitely taught me how to look at numbers and seeing if we're being tattooed or not. So as a taxpayer, I kind of have a problem with this because as we losing money, as our debt goes down, I don't like the idea of running out and getting, let's buy a new car because we got it paid off. That's not the way I do business. That's not the way a lot of big people don't do business, including business don't do business that way. So I have a concern about just because the bond's going off, we don't have to fill it back up with something else. That's just ridiculous.
Thank you, Glenn. Would anyone else from the public like to speak on the matter? All right. So with that, we'd like to thank everyone that was participating in the hearing. We appreciate your time and interest in the project and the future of our community. Please note that this is the first step in the legal process. The board will continue to work with the administration and its professionals to look for efficiencies to conserve tax dollars while meeting our educational needs. All right, so with that, we will now move on to item 7, which are our action items. And we will start with item 7.1, approval of teacher evaluation. Dr. Metcalf.
So each year, the state requires that the board approve the teacher evaluation plan. The only real changes that are happening, I introduced at the last board meeting, which is working with the GEA, the Goshen Education Association, developed a core professionalism section. So that has been added to the plan. It's redlined in the total plan. And then the removal of the performance-based compensation, otherwise known as the teacher appreciation grant, has been removed because the legislature during this last session changed how that is distributed and will be distributed. We still do not have details about that at the time, but it will be independent of the teacher evaluation. So I would ask that you approve the evaluation plan.
All right, thank you, Dr. Metcalf. So board members, can we have a motion and a second for item 7.1 to open up for discussion and ultimate voting?
I'll move for the passage of item 7.1, approval of teacher evaluation.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Glick, seconded by Mr. Goodman. Board members, questions? Talked about this last meeting. Anything recent, more to look at? Shaking heads, no. So with that, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. Thank you. Item 7.2, supplemental fees. Dr. Metcalf.
So in the last legislative sessions, the legislature has re-enabled our abilities to collect some supplemental fees. One of the fees that, one of the expenses that is a continual expense and the music department has brought to our attention is the maintenance and replacement of instruments that are used by students. And so we are asking that we reinstate the $50 per semester charge that or fee that we had previously before the state eliminated our ability to collect that fee. Talking with the music department, they understand the need for doing this and will help us to maintain the instruments we have and possibly, hopefully, develop a fund that we can start maybe even replacing some. They get very expensive. I also asked the department to talk about what other school districts are doing, which was part of the memo that I presented to you. What we are recommending is very similar to one of our neighboring districts, and then there are different districts around the area and around the state have done different amounts. Some that haven't charged are now starting to consider it just because of with some of the changes that are going to be coming with the ability to pass general obligation bonds. Some people paid for some equipment out of that, and so we're just asking that we reinstate our previous charge.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Metcalf. Can we have a motion and a second for item 7.2 to open up for discussion and voting?
I'll move for the passage of item 7.2, supplemental fees.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Glick, seconded by Mr. Garber. Comments, questions from the board?
Is there so there will be an account that these go into that are directly go to the band?
Yes, it will be
music.
Just like it used to be. There is currently a maintenance and replacement account at the high school within the ECAs over there. These would be then deposited there.
Okay.
I know Jose asked a question last meeting about individuals that may not be able to afford this. Is there mechanisms for that?
We would still look at the, used to be how we did TDR. Students who qualify for free or reduced, or would have qualified for free and reduced, will either, the fee will then either be waived or reduced.
Anything else from board members? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of item 7.2, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? It passes 6-0. Thank you. Item 7.3, discontinuation of transportation for Title I pre-K program. Dr. Metcalf.
So we currently, pre-K is not mandated or funded through the state. We currently do it through our Title I grant with reduction in the grants and possible reductions in the future. We still want to continue to be able to offer that preschool. One of the ways we can do that and still service the schools, because the rest of that Title I fund goes to the elementary schools to pay for Title I instructors and programming for students who are struggling with reading and math at the elementary schools. So the preschool money gets pulled off the top. And so by reducing this, looking at the reductions that we had in our Title I funding for this year and the anticipated reductions possibly in the future, this we felt was a way to recoup that but still be able to, at this point, offer our Title I preschool. This is very similar to what Head Start has done. Head Start discontinued transportation about 4 years ago. And so it has not impacted their ability to find students, and we still have a waiting list for our Title I or our Head Start programs in Goshen. So we feel this is reasonable. It would, to be honest with you, it will also free up a driver and a half that we would then, no one will lose their job over this. They would be then moved into the rotation of our three-tier busing system, because right now they operate independently because they're going just for preschool during that time also.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Metcalf. I have a motion and a second for item 7.3.
I'll move for the passage of item 7.3, discontinuation of transportation for Title I pre-K program.
Moved by Mr. Glick, seconded by Mr. Goodman. Questions, comments from the board?
In relation to the transportation, I know last board meeting there was discussion about the trouble finding bus drivers. Is this going to help that as well, free that up a little bit with the transfer of the bus?
It will. Title I, the preschool takes 1.5 drivers. One driver is, that's their full-time position. Then we have to have another half a driver that drives during the change in midday from preschool, because we have morning preschool, afternoon preschool. So while one's picking up, the other's dropping off at that point. We did have 5 retirements. We have been able to get a couple drivers. So yes, this would help us out when it comes to that 3-tier programming.
Because you needed those before the start of the school year, is that correct?
We did. And we weren't sure, to be honest with you, we just received our Title I allocation, or our planning grant, just last week. And so, once that was delivered, we kind of looked at the funds, looked at what we could do with what we had, and felt like this was an unfortunate but a reasonable way to possibly save some money within the Title I budget.
I'll intervene here. A year ago,
Your microphone, please.
a year ago when we did preschool registrations, we asked parents if we were to take away transportation, could they get their children here? And we had 2 parents at that time say they would have difficulty getting their children here of all the students that registered for preschool. We did not ask that question this year. We weren't anticipating that we would be in this situation, but we did do it a year ago when we received that we would have possible cuts last year. So I don't know what that tells us this year, what that would bring this year, but out of all of them, there was just 2 that had said they would have difficulty.
I did talk to Mr. Graves before we proposed this and asked what the impact would be. Last year, we currently have 34 preschool students in each section, morning section and afternoon, divided into 2 classes. Students who actually were routed for the bus in the morning, we had 23 out of the 34, so a little over half of those students were using our transportation. In the afternoon, going home, we only had 17, which was pretty much exactly half of those students were using our transportation. When we have had trouble finding bus drivers, either because illness, planned vacations, whatever, we have discontinued preschool transportation like for a day or 2 until we have enough drivers to be able to do that. Because one of the things we do, even though preschool is not required, getting our students to school is, and so, well, it's a privilege to be able to do that. So we've had to discontinue transportation for preschool when we've just been really short on drivers.
And this is an assumption, but because the preschool student body could be across the entire district, there wouldn't be a way to even in an AM and a PM be able to put them on an elementary bus.
Correct.
Because they go everywhere.
We have one bus that starts in the north and just circles around and then comes to Chandler, so they cover the entire district.
They also have to have car seats,
Yes.
so it makes it difficult to.
So we also have a bus aide on there, which would help us with that. We also have monitoring positions we have bus monitoring positions that would be open for her also.
The car seat thing, I would never even thought of that.
We have like 2 buses that have integrated car seats, and so they can be used. That was always the thing beforehand. We had to use the bus. We had to take all the car seats out, and that was just very difficult. for our maintenance department to do. So we have 2 buses with integrated car seats. So they fold up, they're just like a normal seat. So those buses could also then be used in normal routing also.
Other questions from the board? All right, we have a second, or a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes 6-0. Thank you. All right, we're moving on to item 7.4, which is approval to submit federal waivers. Dr. Metcalf.
Yes, so within the title grants, even though some of them are frozen, in order to, we're allowed to ask for waivers for certain aspects of it. The first one really is about paraprofessionals. Currently, the federal government says, and the IDOE says there's, a para has to pass what their para-pro test, which is a test of, it kind of reminds me a little bit of a watered down SAT. But we have had people in the past that would serve as good paras not be able to pass that test, or they'd be able to pass one part of it, and then they would struggle either with the math part, or sometimes when we had English language learners, they would struggle with the language. So the federal government did say that you can waive this if you have another mechanism for training them and getting them along the way. So we currently have a Canvas course that has been approved that we can allow our prospective employees to take, and that then replaces the Para-Pro on waiver 2. So they would not have to take the Para-Pro, they would just have to complete our class in order to be considered highly qualified. So we're asking for permission for that. The second one really goes to Title IV. Title IV requires districts to allocate funds into 3 different areas: well-rounded educational opportunities, safe and healthy students, and then effective use of technology. And you have to designate that funding along certain percentages among them. What we're asking for is the flexibility, depending on what our students need, to not have to distribute that evenly among the 3. So if we need, if we find that there's an effective use of technology that might take up more than 1/3 of the budget, we would like the ability to say this is what we want to do with our funding. And so that waiver would allow us to determine the percentages of if we receive the Title IV fund, which we're not sure we will, we would allocate across those 3 funds how much we would place instead of just 1/3 on each one.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Metcalf. And with that, can we have a motion and a second for item 7.4?
I move to approval to submit federal waivers.
A second.
Moved by Mr. Garber, seconded by Mr. Glick. Comments, questions from the board on the 2 waivers being proposed?
I'd asked you earlier, Jim, about the staffing levels that we had and how the waiver impacted that. Like, what was driving maybe the necessity of that waiver if we're mostly full? I don't know if you could.
Yeah, I think we have most of our paraprofessionals hired.
We have a number of them. We're always looking for some. That position has in the past been one that has turned over, partially because it is a school year position, so they only get paid for the 180 days that students are here, and so some people start out with that and then they move into other positions. Where this has really helped us out is getting paraprofessionals who are bilingual, especially those that are second language learners, where that being able to pass that Para-Pro because of the reading part and the reading part of that, it really has increased our ability to hire some bilingual paras.
How long does it take to, like, we can hire them, they can start working, they don't have to pass that Para-Pro first before they can work with kids?
No, they do. You can't even hire them unless they pass the Para-Pro. So that has limited our pool to some extent in the past of people even wanting to apply.
So to answer your question, it really maybe a little harder for us to find people, and sometimes the best people we have struggle with one of those passing those tests, or candidates that we have.
So maybe it's not trying to hire somebody tomorrow, but opening up the door down the road if that position turns over, you have the options.
Correct. The Para-Pro does have some basic algebra to it, does have some deeper language and reading and comprehension pieces that some of our employees or some of our previous employees or some of those prospective employees have had difficulty. And then each time they take it, they have to pay to take that test. So that is also a burden on some of our employees because they are responsible for paying that.
And I'll add to that, a lot of them have been stay-at-home moms. And so it's been a long time since they've had some of those math skills like algebra and some of those things. And so they're taking that Para-Pro with, it's just that time of, I haven't seen this type of math in quite a while. And so then they have to brush up on it and get some help and support and then turn around and have to pay for it again. And this course allows them to get that support they need to be able to. And we have
actually done some tutoring classes to that, but we also have some that have some of our employees, previous or prospective employees, have had a little test anxiety, and it's just not necessarily worth it to them to put themselves through that. So this would, by taking our course, taking our Canvas course, talks about it, really goes through the responsibilities of a para, does have some of the basic academic pieces, but they are not required to pass the test in order to be hired.
Mr. Metcalf, with these, when's the sunset on these two waivers? Is it just this school year? Would it go to?
I think talking to Ms. Dixon, I believe we would probably have to do this each year.
Stole my question.
So if that were to change, we would come back and say that, I do know that they do require to be acted upon by the board.
So once a teacher or somebody gets hired for that with the waiver, how long do they have to?
They do not have to take it again. This replaces the Para-Pro. Once they are hired under this and have taken our course, that is recorded, and then they can be our employee for as long as they would like. So I don't know if that's what you were getting at, Mr. Miller.
There are some other trainings they have to do, but not the Para-Pro or the course that goes with the Para-Pro.
In order to maintain employment, they do not have to take that course on a yearly basis.
Other questions, comments from the board? Ready to vote? Seeing most heads shaking in the right direction. Okay. We have a motion and a second for item 7.4. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. Thank you. All right. Item 7.5, 2025-26 meal prices. Dr. Evans.
Each year we need to reevaluate our meal prices as outlined by the USDA guidelines. The minimum, if there is a need to raise your meal prices to meet these guidelines, the minimum that you can raise them is 10 cents. And so we need to raise our meal prices by 10 cents above what they were last year. The price for extra milk will remain the same. Every other price as listed before you will be raised 10 cents for the breakfast and for the lunch. We would also be able to continue free meals at West Goshen and Chamberlain based upon the community eligibility provision of the USDA.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. We have a motion and a second for item 7.5.
I'll move for the passage of item 7.5, 2025 to 26 meal prices.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Glick, seconded by Mr. Goodman. Comments, questions on meal prices? Pretty straightforward. And I think the other thing to call there, that you said approximately 70% of our students actually qualify for free and reduced lunch.
Yes, and so thank you. The free and reduced lunch prices would not change from last year. I believe they're the same.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we're good with that one. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of item 7.5, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. All right, 7.6, consideration of Goshen Junior High School track. Dr. Evans.
As we discussed earlier in the report, we would like to mill and resurface the Goshen Junior High track that is hopefully starting in August. We had worked with 2 other vendors who said that we could possibly do it next year, but we recently found a Milestone who could resurface the track this year, and they're working through PSI, Performance Services. With that in mind, we could then possibly, once we get the dates settled down, possibly be bringing back to you in September another recommendation for resurfacing top coat of the track if you want. So, your consideration of PSI via Milestone for the track, $239,379 is appreciated.
We have a motion and a second for item 7.6.
I move for the approval of item 7.6, consideration of Goshen Junior High School track.
Moved by Mr. Glick, seconded by Mr. Goodman. I will say thank you for doing this. I would say I've been maybe more vocal on this than other items for a while because it's something that's been out there for a little bit. You know, we do a lot with a lot of our facilities, and we try to do our best to keep them up to snuff, but sometimes things have to get shelved because of more important things. And fortunately, this is one of the things that has gotten shelved a couple times. So it's nice that we've been able to find ways to get this done and move forward. So we're slowly getting there. We're trying.
The junior high's been put on the back burner a lot in the past. So
I appreciate you staying on this one. Any other comments or questions from the board?
You probably have to, I mean, you can't lay when it gets cold, we can't put it down.
Right, so they want to get on the asphalt right away, and then as well, there needs to be a 30-day curing period after the asphalt, so they want to try to beat cold weather for that as well.
So we got a little warmth right now, so it's a good thing to get going.
Too much.
So the coating would be on top of that $230,000 price? It's a separate.
This does not include the coating.
Correct.
That would be an additional cost, depending upon whether we would be able to get a quote yet this fall, or we would have to wait till next spring. We're going to shoot for this fall, but that would not be part of this yet.
This was originally going to be part of the bond, and we're moving it up. I know when we talked about the bonds before, I thought it was still $8.4 million that we talked about the first time around. Will that difference just be going towards interest payments, or how does that work?
No, honestly, carpeting, we could put 1.6 million in carpeting. So I believe what I was talking about earlier had reduced that number to maybe like 700,000. So the remaining part probably go towards other projects such as carpeting.
Got it.
Mostly at Goshen Junior High School.
We're going to make it very trendy colors, right? No, we're going to make it very school-specific red colors.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. Other comments on item 7.6? All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. Item 7.7 is the, you just moved me, approval of startup Moxie agreement, Mr. Boyce.
Yeah, board, you've heard about this work that we're doing with entrepreneurship, and you've heard about our connection and partnering with Startup Moxie, and this is the agreement that solidifies that. So it's a 3-year agreement. As long as both sides are happy with how it's going, we'll continue each year.
All right. I'm going to have a motion and a second for item 7.7.
I'll move for the passage of item 7.7, approval of startup Moxie agreement.
Second. Moved by Mr. Glick, second by Mr. Goodman. Questions, comments on the proposal in front of us here? So the first year is obviously the largest investment with all the front end investment, but then the year over year will gradually decrease because it's just kind of, I won't call it maintenance fees, but, you know, just
Yeah.
curriculum. It
Hopefully,
just,
we'll be doing pitch competitions together some, and some cross-pollination. Some of the Goshen businesses and Elkhart businesses, so our kids can get in and work together. Let's put that way.
You had said we were already sending students to their location. So will some of that money end up being put into this as opposed to this all being new money? Because we're already spending some towards sending students there. Am I asking that right?
How much money, like, how do you, you guys did CSAs last year, right? That's how we did that. So it's career savings account, so they are able to receive $5,000 that if a student qualifies, if everything's been filled out in time, then the state will give parents a career savings account up to $5,000, and then that in turn gets transferred to Startup Moxie. So each one of our kids do that. So which means we don't get the CTE dollars for those students in that program. So we'll be able to keep the CTE dollars for ourselves. And in essence, if you think about 25 kids and you start doing the math, and we're paying some money still to them for the first year. But we also get all the curriculum and the training, and it's all been, the relationship with Ivy Tech has been worked out, so we'll just be joining in on that. So good question, so.
So that's how it's also being funded.
What's that?
There's only one Goshen.
Oh, there is one.
There is currently.
Okay. So we're gonna let one go over there too.
That was a parent.
Yeah, that's fine. Probably had a sibling that was in it, right? Yeah.
other questions, comments from the board on item 7.7? Ready to vote? All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. 7.8, approval of Once Literacy Program.
Good afternoon, everybody. So Once Literacy is a high-dosage tutoring, one-on-one, that is an early reading intervention that will help support our MTSS vision for supporting kids, or some of our neediest kids. And so this would allow for 15 to 20 students at 2 of our elementary schools to pilot this for the 25-26 school year. In listening to some of the waivers that were petitioned, one of the things that Once can provide for us as well is that they upskill some of our current staff, so they train them to teach this program. They receive weekly coaching, and so similar to what we would expect some of our staff when it comes to like the SOI IPP. So we're training internal staff to help us with some of the things that we value the most. And so literacy is a big part of what we're trying to do via our MTSS, and so this will support that.
All right, thank you for that. We have a motion and a second for item 7.8.
I'll move for the passage of item 7.8, approval of Once Literacy Program.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Glick, seconded by Mr. Garber. Questions, comments regarding the proposal in front of the board?
Since this is a pilot for Chamberlain and Parkside only, I'm assuming it's a test because you're hoping to eventually do it and more than that. Like, what are you using to measure, to determine at the end that yes, we continue, or no, we don't continue?
Absolutely. Yeah, so they have their own progress monitoring that they would do, but then we would have our own, like whether it's this Acadians reading that the state is mandating that we use for a progress monitoring tool, dyslexia screener. So we would have our ways to measure success as well. I mean, we want to make sure that this is meeting our needs, the needs of our students, and that we are getting everything that they are promising.
How do you decide which 20 students?
So part of the MTSS process, it's data-informed decisions. So teachers at the 2 schools will nominate students based on need. A target of this will be some of our English language learners.
Right.
And so what we're trying to do is being proactive in trying to limit the number of students who fall behind, especially in that category of 2 or more years behind, because it's hard to close gaps. And so starting with something in early literacy, whether it's in kindergarten or in first grade, which first graders will be much easier to identify because we have a year of data, and whether it's quantitative or qualitative data, so we can select our students. But again, it's trying to get ahead of students falling behind.
Once that goes, if it were to go to all the schools, once the pilot's done, right now, I guess that's like 1,600 or something per student. And cost. Does it get cheaper as it scales bigger? How does it work?
Yes, I think that's for every 2 students. The biggest cost is the weekly training that the coaches, the instructors would receive. And so the more coaches that we would have on site, the cheaper it would be, because they can support our district with just 1 trainer for our coaches. It would significantly reduce that. They are working on automatizing some of the things that they have people doing now. So all things lead that is becoming a more affordable solution for not just for us, but for every school that they serve.
I guess my last question then would be, so that somebody else can ask, just with other schools that are using it, what types of results are they seeing?
So just a little background, and the reason that this was something that I wanted to bring towards our principals for something to consider was my experience in my previous position, where every kindergarten student in 3 schools was part of this program. And I think that looking at their data, and there's a study that they did with learning experience design. So they went from like the 38th percentile at the beginning of the year and they have some data there to support that the more they do it, the better, of course. But they jumped 29 percentile points. So they were in the 40th percentile per se, and they moved to almost the 70th percentile of students. So it's relatively new. If you look them up, they don't have a whole lot of data because this is about the 3rd year of their existence, and so there's a little bit of faith going into this, right? But what we were able to experience during my time there, and some of the principals that would say that if they had to give up something, they would not want to give this up because what they see with their students when it comes to growth. Our principals visited a couple of schools. We had people from our office that went and visited this. This is something that I'm passionate about, but I did not want my passion to be a bias towards making a decision. So they studied it, and they had several conversations internally, just with them. And so 2 of them decided that they would like to try it as a pilot, and so we would like to honor that.
How many students for 1 paraprofessional in the building?
So this would be, a full load would be about 20. The goal of this is
so
that
it's 40.
40, yeah. So this is for 40 students, right?
Okay.
And so the idea is that this becomes that instructor's full-time job. So while we could do this amongst 3 or 4 people, then when you only have 3 or 4 kids each, it's easier for them to get pulled to do other things. This is their job. They receive the training. We are hoping that they would be inspired by what they're doing, and there's a potential connection with higher education where they can pursue a teacher licensure, and so there's opportunities with that as well.
There'll be paraprofessionals that will get this training and provide the services.
Yeah, and again, both Chamberlain and Parkside are targeting EL students primarily.
That will be paid for, the funding comes out of Title I. We had Title I carryover this year. We were allowed to carry over about 15%, so we were able to they're able to use that Title I carryover. So as moving forward, as it expands, we would look for it to be paid for out of Title I.
I'm just curious why Chamberlain is kind of like a easy answer, right? It is the population, it is the need. I'm wondering why not West Goshen versus Parkside? Why West Goshen not the school choose?
So this was up to the principal to decide whether or not to pursue this. And so,
Actually, they weren't eligible, to be honest, because the principal is leaving, and they have a new principal coming in.
Right.
So next year, they're definitely on the list to do it.
yeah, so it was not, I did not decide who.
Not that they weren't
Right.
officially not eligible,
Right.
they would have been, but it just.
Yeah,
it was-
complicated stuff,
It
yeah.
also requires them to repurpose current staff. So this is not any new staff that is hired for this program. So if they've got something they've been working on, they would have to deem this more worthy than what they're doing. So they were given that choice.
Very optimistic.
Other comments, questions from the board? Ready to vote? All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor for item 7.8. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? 6-0. One more action item, I promise. Item 7.9, approval of Eureka for Goshen Junior High School. Ms. Schreiner.
So at the last board meeting, you approved to move forward with Eureka Squared at the junior high. Tonight, you have a quote before you. We had an option between a 1-year and a 6-year quote for this curriculum, and we decided to go ahead with just a 1-year. We have every intention of having this be a multi-year adoption. However, we thought 6 years was a pretty long time to make that financial commitment. So tonight, we brought to you a 1-year quote that we'll have approved each year.
All right.
After.
May I have a motion and a second for item 7.9?
I'll move for item 7.9, approval of a Eureka for Goshen Junior High School.
Moved by Mr. Glick, seconded by Mr. Goodman. So I guess question I have, I completely see the point of going 1 year. Is there a huge cost savings by a multi-year deal?
So we had a lot of discussion around that. It's a great question. And there are some cost savings, but we didn't feel like it was significant enough to warrant committing to 6 years. And I don't know, Dr. Whitecap, if you want to add anything to that.
It was a little under $5,000 a year.
Year savings, so 10% savings.
Yeah.
We'd like to eventually establish a cycle where all of our math is done on 1 year, 6 years later, we'd be up for it again. And then so then like 1 year math, 1 year English language arts, 1 year social studies, and then there's a 6-year cycle. We have yet to establish that. It's kind of everything's kind of gotten wacky a little bit. That was an old school way that you had to do it in the state of Indiana, required kind of every 6-year cycles. Kind of like that, but when that 6-year cycle went away, people would switch every few years and do 1-year contracts and do things like that. So, I mean, that's
The
kind
reduction of the 6-year cycle allows us also to monitor how we feel the curriculum is paying off and look at the data that students are performing on iLearner or other performances. And if we do not see what we want to do, it does allow us to go through the process without having to wait for a 6-year and suffer through it for 6 years.
How long does it typically take for a new curriculum to be adopted to be able to figure out really how well that's doing over time?
About 3 years.
3 years.
First year, you sometimes see what they would say was an implementation dip, because everyone's learning all the new things. Sometimes we see student scores dip, and then they start to rise, and then after about the 3rd year, it's settled in, and then you can kind of start determining what is instruction, what is curriculum when it comes to student scores.
Other comments, questions from the board? Ready to vote? We have a motion and a second on the floor on item 7.9. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. And that concludes our action items tonight. We have no discussion items, so we will go right to closing items. Mr. Du Bois?
Couple comments. July 21st, our principals and our office staff return the buildings will be open to the public, July 21st. Our summer hours will go through the 28th for this office. And then I just want to say a special thanks to Terry McCrendle for the fantastic work she's been doing this summer, just getting things ready. Again, behind the scenes, getting things done. She's been rocking it. And we also are working very hard in Neola. Dr. Metcalf and Terry are just carrying the load on that as well. And Mojave has already been involved in that, and Tracy as well. So we're working on getting a package to you guys that's close to what we have now, but with some of the new language maybe. And so we're excited for what we're working. Hopefully have that soon. But thank you, Terry. And then last, but certainly not least, our next board meeting will be here Monday, August 11th. First day back to teachers.
All right. Any items from the board tonight? The board will be meeting in an executive session directly after this, so we will ask very kindly that you may stay if you want to go to the hallway, though, but we are going to meet here in about 5 minutes. We'll adjourn for a few minutes, but the board will be meeting in an executive session, so. But with that, I'll take a motion for adjournment tonight.
I move to adjourn.
Move to second. All those in favor, please say aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the county fair that starts this week.
How do you not have